Okay.
What county were you in?
The same.
Oh, okay.
This meeting is called to order in accordance with the Open Public Meetings Act. This meeting was included in a list of meeting dates sent to the Home News Tribune, the Star Ledger, and the Highland Park Planet on January 4th, 2017, and was posted on the bulletin board of Borough Hall, 221 South Fifth Avenue on January 4th, 2017, and has remained continuously posted as required by law. Fire exits are to my left and to my right. Please speak into the microphones if you come up to talk, and assistive listening devices are available. Chief, good to see you. Chief, would you lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance?
That's why he was walking up there.
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Roll call, please.
Mayor Bro-Mittler.
Here.
Councilman Fine.
Here.
Councilwoman Foster Dublin.
Here.
Councilman George.
Here.
Councilman Hirsch.
Here.
Councilman Walsh.
Here.
Councilwoman Welkowitz.
Here.
Borough Administrator.
Here.
Borough Attorney.
Here.
May I have a motion to approve the minutes of the regular and conference meetings held October 18th, 2016.
16. It changed all my dates.
And November 1st, 2016.
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Mhm.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Okay.
Any abstentions?
Abstain on the 18th, yes on the 1st.
Okay, council reports. Let's start on my right tonight with Councilman Walsh.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. The snowstorm the week of January 7th created significant challenges for many of our residents due not only to the snow emergency, but to 7 water main breaks that occurred during the snow emergency. Public Works would usually be equipped to handle one of these emergencies, but the simultaneous nature of these emergencies, as well as compounding issues related to the water main breaks, created real challenges. We're in the process of working to understand the underlying causes of the water main breaks, but it appears that they started when a pump failed at Middlesex Water, the company that supplied the borough with water. The pump failures led to hammering, which is essentially water sloshing through the system to put pressure on the pipes and causes breaks. When the initial breaks was fixed, more hammering ensued due to a valve malfunction. This then required Public Works to open multiple fire hydrants to release pressure on the system while the valve malfunction was fixed. This released water from the system, caused serious icing and challenges for residents in the proximity of the fire hydrants. Many members of the Public Works crew put in long hours during this time and should be lauded for eventually getting things under control under this very difficult situation. There are things that residents can do to help make snow removal better for those in town. First and foremost, do not park car in the streets during snow events in areas marked no parking during snow. This makes plowing roads very difficult and could result in your car being towed. Secondly, do not shovel snow into the street. This can create hazards for other motorists who are using the roadways. Finally, we've worked out and started implementing a plan with New Brunswick to clear the bridge during snow events. I myself have commuted almost daily into New Brunswick and know this has been a challenge for many folks during the winter. The bridge is owned by the Department of Transportation, and they saw it as their responsibility to clear the walkway of the bridge, but it never seemed to be a priority. Our Public Works crew will now be pre-treating and shoveling the Highland Park side of the bridge while New Brunswick will be clearing their side of the bridge to make a clear passage for people to get into New Brunswick and back to Highland Park safely. Hopefully this will improve the commute for many of our residents and who walk to New Brunswick on a daily basis. Also, the Shade Tree Advisory Committee ordered 50 trees to give out at the Earth Day celebration this year. We expect those to arrive a couple weeks beforehand, at which time we'll be bagging them up and preparing them to be distributed to residents at the Earth Day Festival. We are also planning to put up 32 new trees in the borough, but we can do more. Shade trees not only beautify the community, they can help reduce urban heat island effects and lower cooling bills. If you'd like a shade tree, there's an application on the borough website that you can complete. After completing the application, someone will come to evaluate if a shade tree can be placed in front of your property. Thank you very much, Madam Mayor.
Thank you. Councilman George.
Thank you, Mayor. With regard to the Highland Park Arts Commission, They had a very busy first meeting on January 12th. They moved along and have drafted the grant application to Middlesex County for the Donaldson Park Sculpture Project and outlined that. In addition, they are planning a sculpture project, hopefully to be located along Raritan. There's some discussion of the sites. One of the primary sites is adjacent to the art walk at the Rite Aid Art Windows. There's some discussion as sidewalk safety, but they also met last week as well with Main Street Highland Park for their participation. They're planning a gala opening and opening reception to demonstrate the newly formatted Arts Commission on April 30th, hopefully in conjunction with opening the art walk as well. I have the county grant. We received that proposal. That grant proposal appears to be ready to go out. I'll be advising the chairperson this week. One of the other projects that they're discussing is a return to the open studios. We had something very similar to that years ago. Unfortunately, one of the dates that looked good for everyone was in conflict for the potential art walk opening, and the coordination of that matter needs to be worked out a little bit more. So they're really working forward. The website information for the borough website is forthcoming. They've actually formalized that as well, and they will be starting to run regular articles in HP News. With regard to Senior and Rec Center, last Thursday and Sunday, I believe it was Beauty and the Beast Jr., packed house. It was an excellent production. I caught a little tiny bit of it. The next production actually already goes into rehearsal on February 2nd. It's going to be High School Musical Junior. The winter band concert is the 22nd at 2 p.m. at the Senior and Youth Center. The music is played by our Highland Park residents, ages teenage to 92 years old. We are looking for members to add to the band. We're getting the band back together. And there's no audition necessary, but some ability to read music is required. Classical, rag, swing, show tunes, marches, anything that works. There'll be a winter concert as well. In the middle of the winter season games, youth basketball are now playing other high school, Highland Park, teams, as well as South Amboy, Metuchen, Edison. Indoor soccer's running, table tennis is running. The adult fitness classes for Tai Chi and Fitness for All are up. Youth chess will begin on the 26th for 5 sessions this year. And it actually had a very large turnout. A lot of people interested, more I think in the youth social grouping than anything else. But it was actually very successful this year. This year it's 5 sessions. Flag football begins in March and registration will begin next week. And that's all I have, Mayor.
Well, thank you. Councilman George, would you please talk with the Arts Commission about submitting a resolution to go for that grant?
Yes, I have been educating them on the dreary and horrible non-artistic requirements that we all have to live with. Okay. The grant is, and had I known a little bit earlier than when I got the grant, it would have been on for tonight.
Yeah, okay, thank you. All righty. Councilwoman. Oh, I skipped Matt.
That's okay.
Sorry, Matt, your beard was hiding you.
This is submitted. This is submitted for the minutes. Yeah, right.
Councilman Hirsch.
Even here. Oh Lord. Oy vey.
It's getting gray now. It's getting gray now.
Well, that's a sign of the extensive work here.
Wisdom.
The Commission for Universal Access held its reorganization meeting on Thursday, January 5th, 2017, where members of the Commission selected Tara Canavera to serve as their new chair. Congratulations to Tara. And I'd just like to thank her also for her extensive service to the community, not only in this role, but in the myriad ways that she serves Highland Park. Also like to thank past Chair Diane Feldman for her leadership, and we're thankful that she will continue on as a regular commissioner, and I do understand that we'll be recognizing her formally at an upcoming meeting. We were able to provide the commission with an update on a new handicap accessible van which the borough did go out to bid for in 2016. Unfortunately, we received no responses at that time, but we're confident that we'll receive responses once this goes out again. The commission and I are working with Kim McGraw, the borough's senior program coordinator, on finalizing bid specifications. This is an attainable goal that's long been on the radar of the Commission for Universal Access, and we look forward to fulfilling that in short order. The commission also discussed various ways to educate and raise awareness about misuse of handicapped parking spaces. Highland Park Police Lieutenant Gary Panicella, who was in attendance at that meeting, encouraged anybody who sees an illegally parked automobile in a designated handicap parking space to immediately report it to the police department's non-emergency dispatch at 732-572-3800. I also asked about the Commission's goals for 2017, and they include providing better outreach to traditionally marginalized or invisible communities in Highland Park, creating better access to Main Street Highland Park, and encouraging the inclusion of community spaces in all new developments, and to make sure that they're fully accessible. I particularly like this last idea, and I look forward to helping them kind of realize that goal and how it pans out. It seems to be a noble cross-silo effort. The next meeting of the Commission for Universal Access is Thursday, February 2nd, 7:30 p.m. here at Borough Hall in the Berman Conference Room. Please come. The Highland Park Housing Authority held its reorganization meeting on Wednesday, January 11th, 2017, where they unanimously chose Commissioner Steve Chudnik to serve as the new chair. Special thanks to past Chair Diane Ray for leading the commission for 2 years and for continuing to serve as commissioner. Also, congratulations to Steve Chudnik, whom I've known for many years. He's served on the Housing Authority for 5 or 6 years, and he, I know, will run a very tight ship over there at a critical time for the Housing Authority. So it's really exciting that there's good leadership. There continues to be good leadership over there. I'm also pleased to note that on tonight's agenda, we're appointing 2 civilian powerhouses to the Housing Authority Board of Commissioners. Ronald Wong and William Rainwater have extensive experience in housing and affordable housing policy, and they'll be particularly useful to the board as it navigates the complexities of financing necessary capital improvements to our facilities, something that we spent the last year working on and exploring. And I'm very excited to serve with them in my capacity as council liaison. The next meeting of the Housing Authority Commission is Wednesday, February 8th, 6:30 p.m. at the Samuel Croman Building at 242 South 6th Avenue. Please come. The Highland Park Board of Health held its regular meeting on Thursday, January 12th, and discussed several key areas that it intends to explore in 2017. First, the board will continue to explore effective educational usage of money collected through the borough's e-cigarette licensing fees. I'm happy to report, however, that since we've implemented that fee, we now only have 4 merchants in town that sell e-cigs, down from 9 at the beginning of the year. I should note that initiative did not drive businesses out of town, but rather merchants are removing e-cigs from their shelves. There was a discussion on the Duraspene material used on our turf field near the high school. You may have read in the news about a prominent manufacturer of this material with premature wear and tear. The Board of Health indicated that it will keep a close watch to see if it needs to weigh in on this issue in the future. A centerpiece of where the board hopes to explore in 2017 is on the issue of opioids. And the extent of opioid abuse in Highland Park, and getting data from our police department and from the county, and looking at next steps if possible. I know the Chairwoman Diane Heimlich has spoken to Chief Risco, and the department has saved lives using naloxone, which is used to treat narcotic overdose in emergency situations. And it reverses the effects of opioid medication, including extreme drowsiness, slowed breathing, or loss of consciousness. This leads to another critical focus area for the board, and they are looking at conducting a townwide health assessment in the borough. This would be very complicated, but I think would be valuable policy-wise in many policy areas. And they're looking to possibly work with the hospitals or with the Robert Wood Johnson Foundation on this. Again, this is all embryonic, but these are goals for them this year. And they're also interested in looking at the impact of climate change on health, specifically air quality and increase in temperature. The next meeting of the Highland Park Board of Health is Wednesday, February 9th, 7 p.m. in the lower level conference room here at Borough Hall. Please come. The Highland Park Human Relations Commission held its Martin Luther King Day Humanitarian Awards program last night on January 16th at the high school. This year's honoree was Highland Park Police Lieutenant Gary Panicella, who is just a phenomenal individual. We've all worked with him in many different capacities, but to have him present and to have him talk about Highland Park in that holistic way, it really just showcased the extent of his involvement here in town that reaches so far beyond the way that a lot of us know him in his day job as a police lieutenant. That is so not, that is just a piece of who he is. And if anyone missed the program, I strongly suggest that you watch it as soon as it's published on HPTV's YouTube channel. It's what this program last night was what community is all about. And Lieutenant Panicella, through his public service, his volunteerism, and his entrepreneurialism, is an integral piece of the Highland Park community. The keynote address was given by Juanita Collier, Highland Park's most senior African-American resident. She's 88 years old, which is incidentally the same age as Dr. Martin Luther, as how old Dr. Martin Luther King would have been. And she recalled her deep roots in Highland Park and what the community means to her. It was very moving. She also didn't want to. I'll note that she did not want to sit for her talk, but eventually acquiesced and was and got comfortable as she recalled her time here. Other guests include Rabbi Esther Reed, the Senior Associate Director at Rutgers Hillel, the Alpha Phi Alpha Fraternity, and the Manhattan Movement and Arts Center featuring dancer Jordan Jackson, who is a 15-year-old, and if that last name rings a bell, it's because it's the son of our very own Monica Jackson, who's the communications coordinator here at Highland Park Borough, and he was fantastic. Monica was really proud. I kept turning around to watch Monica's reaction to her son, and it was very, very cool to see. For our next meeting, the next Human Relations Commission meeting will take place tomorrow, January 18th, 7 p.m. in the lower level conference room. And we are looking to engage the New Brunswick-based American Conference on Diversity to put together a program on how we interact when our cultural differences intersect. You might remember Tina Weishaus, a resident, presented at a recent council meeting to ask us to explore ideas about how to de-escalate conflict if we see it. We discussed this at the last Human Relations Commission meeting, and there were concerns about safety. You don't want to interject oneself into an escalating conflict if there's a risk to one's safety or security. But there are ways to work with our social circles, and when you have cultural or philosophical differences, how you can interact and what steps you can take to educate one another. So the American Conference on Diversity actually does this. So they provided us with some materials, and hopefully they will present tomorrow at tomorrow's meeting on January 18th. They have not confirmed yet, but we are hopeful that if they don't come tomorrow, that they'll come to our February meeting. Two more small items, and I'm sorry I'm running long. The Immigration and Refugees Task Force will have another phone call on Thursday, January 19th at 1 p.m. Councilwoman Elsie Foster Dublin and I will once again hop on the phone with representatives from the Working Families Alliance and the New Jersey Alliance for Immigrant Justice. Our goal here is to set some baseline goals, then we hope to have our first in-person task force meeting in the coming weeks. More to come on that. Finally, just related to the Highland Park Food Pantry, I was in communication with Councilman Walsh and Councilman George. As you know, our volunteers at the Food Pantry have been looking to give their storage area a fresh coat of paint at the Senior Youth Center. Well, as it turns out, the Senior Youth Center is entirely slated for a fresh coat of paint, which would include the area that houses our food pantry. So Mike, the foreman at DPW, will be bringing over a booklet of different paint colors in the next few weeks, and he's also going to put the rec center on the schedule for painting in the next few weeks, and that's according to Kim McGraw over the Senior Center. Thank you, everyone, for your time.
Thank you, Councilman. All right, Councilwoman Foster Dublin.
Thank you, Mayor. I have nothing major to report, but one of the things I want to share with everyone in our listening audience is that our fire department is in need of members. So if you're interested in joining our fire department, please stop by and come out and see what we have to offer, also our first aid squad. So we are in need of members in both areas, and all is welcome. Thank you.
Thank you. And Councilman Fine?
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Good evening. I have two things to report on tonight. First, I did communicate with Jane Stanley, the Executive Director of the library today, and I'm glad to report that the Highland Park Free Public Library will be open on weekends, that is including Saturdays and Sundays throughout 2017. Second, I, like the mayor and my fellow council members, am interested in exploring ways to stabilize property taxes in Highland Park. I believe exploring the possibility of shared services between Highland Park municipal entities and between Highland Park and other municipalities is one way to explore how we may stabilize property taxes in our borough. Highland Park already engages in certain shared services, such as sharing an executive director with Woodbridge for our housing authority, a health inspector with Middlesex County, and the like. With that said, the last time the borough had a group of individuals tasked with making recommendations to the council for shared services was when the council created a shared services task force in 2010, which met for a few months that year. Tonight, I am glad to report that the Finance Committee, which I chair, will be introducing a resolution to establish a shared services commission whose purpose will be to make recommendations on potential revenue and savings opportunities for Highland Park to pursue. The resolution to establish a shared services commission, which the council will consider for adoption tonight as a part of its consent agenda, calls for 10 regular members who shall be residents or employees of the borough, including one individual to serve as a chairperson, one representative of the borough of Highland Park, 2 representatives from the Board of Education, 1 representative from the police department, 1 representative from the Department of Public Works, 1 representative from the library, 1 representative from the Housing Authority, and 2 borough residents. If the resolution to establish a shared services commission is adopted by the council, then the 10 regular members of the commission will be appointed by the mayor with the advice and consent of the council for terms to expire December 31st, 2017. With the hope that the resolution is adopted tonight, I've set goals for all 10 members of the Shared Services Commission to be appointed by our next council meeting, which is scheduled to take place on February 7th at 7 p.m. here at Borough Hall, and for the Shared Services Commission to make recommendations to the council on potential revenue and savings opportunities for Highland Park by the fall of 2017. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilman. Okay, Borough Administrator, do you have a report?
No report, Mayor, thank you.
Okay. Borough Attorney, do you have a report?
No report, Madam Mayor.
Oh. Council President, can you give us your report?
Thank you, Mayor. Just a couple of things. Last Thursday on January 12, our planning board met to hear 2 cases. The first, I'm very proud to confirm that final approval has been granted to PSE&G on our solar array project. The memorialization of the resolution is allowing us to move full speed ahead. The second is with regard to Pulte 2 off River Road. Highland Park had requested for them to put into their plans to have carports on all of the low-income housing or COA units in that complex. According to Pulte, however, carports are cost prohibitive. After a lengthy deliberation, the planning board voted to approve that condition. And I also just want to say thank you to everybody who made last night's Martin Luther King celebration another spectacular event. I know Councilman Fine, I know you worked on this last year to make this one a success, and Councilman Hirsch, I know that you worked on it a bit too, and you spoke last night. Also, thanks to Ashton Burrell, Chair of the Human Relations Commission, and the entire commission. And of course, to our honoree, Lieutenant Gary Panicella. He gave really an extremely moving speech last night, sharing with us the kind of outreach that he and the entire police department have throughout our community, and also with the just very heartwarming stories. Thank you for keeping us safe. Also, thanks to Juanita Collier, who again gave a tremendous talk. She is a living legend. So with that, thank you.
Thank you. All right. I just recently learned that Highland Park lost one of our treasures this past weekend. Mr. Charles Figg passed away on Saturday. He was a 50-year resident, and he was Highland Park's first African-American council person, and I believe he served for 11 years here. I would like to take a moment to remember Mr. Figg and all he did for everyone here in Highland Park. Thank you. Part of the reason that I love my job as mayor is that we have such an amazing community with amazing volunteers. You've heard me talk about the Highland Park Gives a Hoot program over and over again. We were honored with the award for excellence in innovation at the last league meeting. And New Jersey Municipalities Magazine, which goes to all of the elected officials in the over 500 municipalities throughout New Jersey, did a 4-page spread on our program. The most meaningful part, there's an entire section that tells other municipalities how they can create their own programs that give back to the children of their municipalities. So kudos to everyone who's worked on the Highland Park Gives a Hoot program, everyone who's donated to the Highland Park Gives a Hoot program, and to all the council members that you see up here, and the borough employees who've dedicated their time, their money, and their love to our children. Thank you all. Lastly, I want to give a big thank you. I was away on vacation last week. Sorry I missed some of the wonderful things that were happening with the snow and water here. But I'm really, really grateful to the administration here, DPW, public safety, and everyone that worked to make our streets as safe and clear as possible. A big special thank you to Council President Welkowitz, who stood in as acting mayor while I was gone, and to each of the council members who pulled together to make sure that you, our residents, had the best service they possibly could. So thank you all. And now, back to business. Is there any public discussion? Mr. Gross? Please state your name and address.
My name is Herb Gross, and I live at Adelaide Gardens. I would like to keep my remarks, for the time being, right to all the council members here in Highland Park. Just recently, everyone has been talking about the homeless veterans. The homeless veterans are very, very important to every veteran, and the work that you people on the Borough Council have been doing to help the homeless veterans, we are well aware, and we appreciate everything that you people have done. We know that you prepare lunches and you go out of your way, and we appreciate that. There are many veteran posts that I am well aware of, and I am very familiar with, and I would like to say thank you to all the veterans posts, Joyce Kilmer Post over in North Brunswick, the VFW Post over in East Brunswick. I can go all the way up to Raritan, the United States Marine Corps, John Basilone Post. And as a former Marine, I am well aware of this post. They've given me very good support. I want to say special thank you to the commander over at Edison, the American Legion. Thank you, Commander. You've done a very good job. And there are many, many posts that we are familiar with, that we keep in contact with. But again, I say my remarks were meant for the Borough Council here in Highland Park. We want you to keep up the good work that you've done, and all my remarks tonight can be confirmed by Mr. Rios, which I'm quite sure Madam Mayor is well aware of. Mr. Rios has done a wonderful job. He's down here in New Brunswick, and he works very, very closely with our commander. That's Post 370, which I am a member of. And Commander William Young, at a future date, will be here at the meeting. And I know that a lot of you members here on the Borough Council would like to meet Commander Young, and we will be working on that in the next few days. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. Gross. Clerk, would you report on introduction of salary ordinance amendment for consideration of passage on final reading by title?
An ordinance to provide for and determine the rate of compensation of each officer and employee of the Borough of Highland Park and the method of payment of such compensation has been introduced in writing by the Finance Committee for consideration and passage on first reading by title.
May I have a motion to adopt or reject and advertise the ordinance on first reading by title?
Motion to adopt.
Second.
Okay, roll call, please.
Councilman Fine?
Yes.
Councilwoman Foster Dublin?
Yes.
Councilman George?
Yes.
Councilman Hirsch?
Yes.
Councilman Walsh?
Yes.
Councilwoman Welkowitz?
Yes.
Clerk, would you report on introduction of administration of government ordinance amendment for consideration of passage on first reading by title?
An ordinance to amend and supplement the revised general ordinances of the Borough of Highland Park, Chapter 3, Administration of Government, has been introduced in writing by the council as a whole for consideration of passage on first reading by title.
May I have a motion to adopt or reject and advertise the ordinance on first reading by title?
Motion to adopt.
Second.
Roll call, please.
Councilman Fine?
Yes.
Councilwoman Foster Dublin?
Yes.
Councilman George?
Yes.
Councilman Hirsch?
Yes.
Councilman Walsh?
Yes.
Councilwoman Welkowitz?
Yes.
Clerk, could you report on introduction of a bond ordinance for water and sewer main repairs for consideration of passage on first reading by title?
Bond ordinance providing for the repair of water and sewer mains within the Borough of Highland Park, County of Middlesex, State of New Jersey, appropriating $200,000 from the water and sewer utility of the borough, and authorizing the issuance of $200,000 in bonds or notes. To finance the cost was introduced by the Finance Committee for consideration of passage on first reading by title, and the supplemental debt statement prepared by the Finance Director was filed in the Clerk's office on January 17, 2017.
Okay, may I have a motion to adopt or reject and advertise the ordinance on first reading by title?
Motion to adopt.
Second.
Roll call, please.
Councilman Fine?
Yes.
Councilwoman Foster Dublin?
Yes.
Thank you. Councilman George?
Yes.
Councilman Hirsch?
Yes.
Councilman Walsh?
Yes.
Councilwoman Welkowitz?
Yes.
Clerk, would you report on introduction of fire department ordinance amendment for consideration of passage on first reading by title?
An ordinance amending and supplementing the Code of the Borough of Highland Park, Chapter 39, Fire Department, has been introduced in writing by the Public Safety Committee for consideration and passage on first reading by title.
Motion to adopt or reject and advertise the ordinance on first reading by title.
Motion to adopt?
Second.
Roll call, please.
Councilman Fine?
Yes.
Councilwoman Foster Dublin?
Yes.
Councilman George?
Yes.
Councilman Hirsch?
Yes.
Councilman Walsh?
Yes.
Councilwoman Welkowitz?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay. May I have a motion to adopt the consent agenda, item numbers 14 through 40?
So moved?
Second.
Roll call, please.
Councilman Fine?
Yes.
Councilwoman Foster Dublin?
Yes.
Councilman George?
Yes.
Councilman Hirsch?
Councilman Hirsch?
Yes, you can.
Yes.
Councilman Walsh?
Yes.
Councilwoman Welkowitz?
Yes.
Next item is a resolution authorizing reimbursement for duplicate payment, Rebecca Hirsch. May I have a motion to adopt or reject?
Motion to adopt.
Second.
Roll call vote, please.
Councilman Fine?
Yes.
Councilwoman Foster Dublin?
Yes.
Councilman George?
Yes.
Councilman Hirsch?
Abstain.
Councilman Walsh?
Yes.
Councilwoman Welkowitz?
Yes.
I am appointing the following to the HP Gives a Hoot Committee. Monica Jackson, Lieutenant Gary Panicella, Ashton Burrell, Michael Buckman, Thomas Scalfani, Sylvia Hove. I am appointing Dr. Mark Shiner to the Mayor's Wellness Campaign, Mark Liebskind to the Parking Review Task Force, and the following members of the Shared Services Committee: Stephen Nolan, Darcy Simarusti, Linda Hoffler, Donna Brightman, Donald Risch, Chief Stephen Risco, Jane Stanley, and Gabriel Paul. May I have a motion to confirm?
So moved.
Second.
Roll call, please.
Councilman Fine?
Yes.
Councilwoman Foster Dublin?
Yes.
Councilman George?
Yes.
Councilman Hirsch?
I have a question about this. Is it, can I?
Should he ask a question on the vote, or he had to ask on the motion? Yeah, okay.
Is there a representative from now? Because I noticed that with the school district, there's one elected and then a business administrator. Is the borough's is the borough administration represented here?
You have, these are people who are appointed,
Gabriel
and
is-
Gabriel
is-
Paul is
okay.
he's the assistant CFO.
Right. Okay. Yes.
Okay.
Councilman Walsh?
Yes.
Councilwoman Welkowitz?
Yes.
Okay, clerk, would you report on the election of a volunteer firefighter?
I received notification from the Highland Park Volunteer Fire Department of the election of Simon Garcia as a volunteer firefighter.
Okay. May I have a motion to confirm?
Motion?
Second.
Roll call, please.
Councilman Fine?
Yes.
Councilwoman Foster Dublin?
Yes.
Councilman George?
Yes.
Councilman Hirsch?
Yes.
Councilman Walsh?
Yes.
Councilwoman Welkowitz?
Yes.
Any other public discussion? Seeing none, may I have a motion to adjourn to executive session?
So moved.
Second.
Okay. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Okay. Meeting is adjourned.
Come on, quick.